But the reality is we are listening and we are trying to address this, and we will hold Oncor or any other utility that does what they do responsible as we gather conclusive evidence to give us something to do. We may never gather any other evidence other than what we have today, and that is this represents the latest technology. It could well do some really great things to help us conserve energy and better manage our grid and whatnot. But in the meantime, our eyes are wide open, and no one is taking for granted your concern or your position. And I really think it's important you know that this is a committee that really gets involved in the issues, and no one that I know of, at least on this committee, has turned a deaf ear to you. So please, and again,
thank you.
Apologize. But
thank you very much.
John Hancock, I'm a system engineer. I respectfully submit that each and every residential customer of an electric utility or cooperative be provided with the option to opt out of smart meter installation at no charge. My objection to mandatory installation centers on two key issues: health impacts and privacy. Utilities health studies and government assurances that smart meter transmissions do not pose a health hazard. If this is true, then why are scores of individuals in meter deployment zones being afflicted with new health ailments? The federal government has been wrong before, with lead paint and asbestos being prime examples. Consumers should not be subjected to smart meter RF transmissions against their will. Regarding electricity usage data transmitted by the meters, this detailed information violates our personal privacy and provides invaluable occupancy information to potential thieves and predators. My inquiries regarding encryption of this transmitted data have all resulted in a vague assurance that 256-bit AES encryption is used. No additional detail is provided, and I cannot obtain any. The problem here is that AES is a symmetric encryption algorithm where both sender and receiver must use a shared secret key. Keys must be securely distributed to all network nodes. Encryption all the way out to the smart meters would entail a massive key distribution and management problem, since changing keys regularly is an essential security practice. I strongly suspect that data encryption is limited only to transmissions between a relatively few regional data collectors and the central collection point. I submit that residential smart meter transmissions are completely in the clear, readable by anyone with equipment that can easily be purchased on the internet. I have been threatened with termination of electrical service by CoServe Electric unless I agree to the installation of a smart meter. Despite this, my family's home still has an analog meter with a rotating disc. I am still being billed monthly without a meter reader being involved. The Dallas area Oncor Director of Consumer Affairs stated to me that they found other jobs for their meter readers. So from my perspective, there's no budgetary basis for imposing an opt-out charge on electrical utility customers. Doing so is particularly unfair to those of limited financial means. Navigant Computing has produced reports for Texas Power Utilities and the Texas Public Utility Commission. Their presentation at the July 2002 annual meeting of the Texas Public Power Association in Austin stated on slide 31 that, quote, well-designed opt-out programs have become more or less a necessity for new smart meter projects. Utilities must provide opt-out programs that give customer options, unquote. Our electric service providers should accept this recommendation and allow consumers to opt out of smart meter installation at no cost.
Thank you.
Can we ask for an encore response? Again, another well-informed constituent who raises what sound like very valid arguments.
Certainly, I think we've probably responded to the health issues already. Yeah. As far as the encryption, one reason that we don't give out all of our security to other folks is because it is security, and you can appreciate that. I can speak to the encryption on the Oncor system, which is an AES 256. It's an AES encryption. I don't know exactly, but it does go to the meter. It goes to the meter. And so there is not this zone of unprotected data.
So you're confident you couldn't go to the internet and purchase the equipment necessary to...
I'm confident that you can't get to the data. Additionally, the data within that is not numbers. It's some other stuff, and I won't go into that. So the security, all the companies, when we put these systems in, we built it with security in mind. We did not build it with security as an afterthought. And so the IT systems, the back office systems, and the communication systems have the appropriate encryption on them. Varying companies are at different levels of going to other levels of security, which includes ECC, a different type of encryption, which is a higher level. So we have good security now, and we will continue to improve on that security, because over time, everybody in the industry has to continue to improve their security.
Yeah, let's respond. The security is in the keys, protection of the keys. The distribution of the keys is not that's what is very going to be difficult to manage. You have a million nodes to change the keys. Do you change the keys often? And
I'd rather not go into the details of what we do and don't do through our security. Wouldn't you? I mean, do you really think?
But yeah, in all fairness, folks, I mean that let's all want to be hacked tonight by the time we get home. So thank you. All right.
Thank you.
My name is Thomas Winenberg, and I'm not a health expert. I'm not going to talk about health, but I am going to talk about information security, because that's my business. I have some expertise in information security, and what we're talking about here, rather than talk about smart meters, I want to talk to you about programmable monitoring and control computers, which is what these devices are. Think about all those pieces. It's programmable. It can be programmable from the home office or from an attacker. An attacker could reprogram this device to do anything they wanted it to do. Now, that would require subversion of some security capabilities that I understand are there, but that capability is still there.
Is that true?
If a hacker had unlimited access to do everything to the system, they could go in there and alter the system. We build the security the same way we build similar to the way the banking system security is built, similar to how all these other online transactions are, and much of it's a defense in-depth methodology. But if you take away all the protection, and every bit of it was gone, there are things you could do, yes, and you could be disruptive to the meter. It would take a whole higher order of activity to be disruptive to other things farther up in the electrical grid.
So I didn't actually mean to go high order, as it were, in the first statement, but my point is that this programmable computer is far more capability than the mandate the Public Utility Commission provided it is required to deliver. If you think about the two main things that need to be accomplished, a 15-minute power average and an in-home monitoring capability that could be offered, these can be provided with much less sophisticated devices. And what you end up with is this problem where if you have collected a lot of data, you have to protect that data. And it's obviously our data, it's personal data. And in order to protect that data, you do have to have defense in depth, and you do have to be able to provide that. The comparison I make is that what's on the side of your house is a Ferrari when a Ford would do. Far more capability is there than is what's required. And so what that opens up is what we call in the information security business a larger attack surface. There's more valuable information on that meter than there was when it was an analog spinning disk. And it's just something to consider that is a potential problem for the utility. We have data at rest problems with that larger attack surface. And what that opens us up to is not only the types of attacks where you would reprogram the computer, but potential targeted attacks where individuals would be able to discern more interesting information than that 15-minute power average could give you. So it's not, I'm sorry.
I was just saying, how often do you think that that kind of data should be purged? And I really give that to both of you, to Oncor as well. When is that data purged as it's gathered? And is that perhaps an area of that ought to be addressed and that could be addressed where the sides presumably would find common ground?
There are two places that the data there are multiple places that the data could reside. Smart Meter Texas portal and the data retention policy on that data is measured in years, I believe. Christine Wright would probably know the exact time period. Within the meter itself, different meters have different amounts of storage available to them, and you just write over that storage. In Oncor's case, it's probably 60 days on a normal residential meter. It's somewhat important that you keep some of that residual data there in case you have a system disruption, so you can go back and get that data and bring it forward. For instance, if the communication system were to fail in an area and it took some amount of time to fix it, we see some value in keeping keeping some of that data. The probability of being able to get the older the data is, probably the less threatening it is, right?
Potentially.
I don't know how data from 3 years ago, if I got that today, what I would do with it. These folks here probably have a different perspective. I'm not sure what I could do with it as a bad guy. We protect all the data. We've got data retention policies that store data, and we're responsible for keeping that just as secure. If it's 2 years old data or 2-day old data, we have the same requirements right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really have one more comment to make, and that is that when the discussion came around to the alternatives to the meters on the side of the house, as far as how the information gets back to the enterprise network, there are plenty of precedents for alternate transmission means beyond a wireless transmission. In the information security business, wireless transmissions are far more difficult to protect than wired transmissions for a variety of reasons. But this alternate transmission means can also help prevent some of the problems that you heard in terms of health and some of these other things. We just think it needs to be considered in this rollout that you could have alternate meters and alternate transmission means as options for folks in addition to the opt-out provision.
Wouldn't the alternate transmission means, though, I'm just asking as a layperson, but wouldn't that be quite a bit more expensive? Seems to me.
Not necessarily. When you're talking about a 15-minute power average, that's a very small bit of data. And that think of an 8K modem that could do that. That's 70s technology. You don't need a broadband to do that. So
But don't you have to wire over the poles, so to speak?
you could go over the poles. You could go over your existing telephone lines. I mean, that's the way the security systems work, and they're transmitting a reasonably comparable amount of data and rate. So I would consider that a viable alternative. And I'd like to hear why, back to the opt-out provisions, why those are so costly when these alternatives could be provided that would allow people to have that capability without having to go wireless.
One of the things we attempted to do was give all customers the same level of service. We did it in the most economic way practical to us at the time. Wireless transmission was by far the least expensive. There are, if at this point in time we open it up to a different backhaul communication technology that's wired, there are two main expenses. One is it's significantly more expensive to do the work to get a conductor from the meter to the wired spot, and also who's responsible for paying the phone bill, getting the information back? Not all homes have wired telephones. As we look forward, fewer and fewer will probably have wired telephones. So that's one